Michael, you often share too that healthcare is the only or the only industry that really has not recovered post-COVID. Can you just give a little reflection around that, and then how in this recovery to come, if you will, what can organizational leaders start to do to begin to change this culture?
My sister, my brother's a physician. My sister was an intensive care, critical care nurse for infants. And my sister worked in nursing 30 years on the night shift. 30 years on the night shift, critical care, infant delivery. Never took a day off, never took sick leave. 30 years. Decided enough's enough. Now, when you got a person like that, which is just a crazy person, the most remarkable person I know is my sister. And she's like, don't miss it. Okay, that tells you everything.
Yeah.
This is a remarkable person,
Wow.
Never took a day off. And any of you who worked the night shift know, that's you're in another world all the time. And then time out, enough's enough. That tells you everything. That this angelic person, which you mainly find in healthcare, is like, I'm putting my wings down. So that's what happened. And so you have people in hospitality have returned to hospitality. People in manufacturing have returned to manufacturing. It wasn't a great resignation. It was a great, you're disrespectful to me, I'm going somewhere else. But they stayed in the industry. People in healthcare, it's the only industry people are like, I'd rather go work in the distribution center at Walmart than this. And it's because it was a situation, they didn't feel anyone cared about them. They didn't feel anyone cared about them. And these are people who are self-propelled, self-generating in terms of life's purpose. And they were like, no one here seems to be caring about me. So this is the situation. And the angels who are listening, there should be a national day for you. More than a month, just a national day. There's nothing like what people in healthcare have done for this country and for the world. It's not even close. There's no place else. And we survey everywhere in every type of business. So that's the situation. I think acknowledging that is really important. I hope that people in at least a month got acknowledged, at least a month. I hope the month doesn't end. I hope the month continues. And because this is the foundation. There's no great future for healthcare in this country and any other if we don't recognize what just happened and what people just did. There's no other demonstration of commitment to people in an institution than what healthcare workers just did. You just cannot find it. And so way beyond those who found the vaccine, people who worked on the vaccine, we know them, they were living pretty well. Okay, they were living pretty well. It wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. So this is, you got to start with honesty and an acknowledgement of what has actually happened. This is certainly the place to start. And I believe it's the hope for going forward. Places that aren't doing this, they're going to deteriorate as we go forward.
Yeah.
So this is the great opportunity for organizations to acknowledge these things and decide we're going to use this miserable tragedy called the pandemic and change the way we behave. I know a healthcare institution that we know them well. They're on our list. They did a program in 2021. Executives had to randomly pick an employee and go pick that employee up and drive them to work and then drive them home. It was remarkable. First of all, they had no idea about a person who worked a 16-hour shift, that when they went home and came back, they only got 3 hours sleep because they did it. They dropped them off and had to come back and get them. And they were like, oh my God, can you believe? And they're like, yeah, we've been doing this. But they had no idea. That act changed the relationship between leaders and the people on the front lines. So, but this is a place that clearly felt a need to keep every person they had and to, you know, make a change. That didn't cost any money. It transformed, now it didn't transform every leader, but it transformed most of them. And of course, that person who had that experience from the worker side, that somebody picked them up and drove them and, you know, took them home, they told everybody about it. You know, so that's just a minor thing, didn't take a lot. That's not a compensation change. You know, you don't have to do anything, rewrite any job descriptions, nothing like that. This is just a connection point that these executives have been transformed, I believe, because they spent time with butterflies, people who are already transformed. You know, they gained by being around these people, and then they were, you know, we've heard all the stories about, wow, we were so disconnected for all these years prior to the pandemic with these people, totally disconnected. So this is the power, you know, of the connection that we're talking about, and the future going forward. And I just hope that leaders will sit and the thing about healthcare, COVID's still here. Okay, so everybody else is like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. People in healthcare are like, oh yeah, it still exists. It's still a real thing. It's still happening. So they're the only ones still living in that reality. And I hope, you know, as a result, will lead us into, you know, behaving differently in terms of how we treat one another. We know nurses need more money. We can go down the line at the disequity in healthcare in this country. That's, nobody should feel proud about this. You know, I'm talking about the United States right now. You know, nobody should feel good about this. So can we at least treat people in a respectful way? If we're not going to pay them more, which we ought to do. Yeah. Okay, we absolutely ought to do. I'm not getting anybody off the hook on that one. But can we at least do this?
Yes.
You know, because number one, you're going to keep them. Number two, you're going to keep remarkable people that you don't have to question their commitment like you do in technology and all these other things. You're going to keep them, and you know that's going to take care of your institution. Because if you think your institution is great without these people, I don't know what to say. Except you're dangerously delusional. I like being delusional to some extent. I like to think I look like Denzel Washington. Okay, but dangerously delusional is a whole different thing. And so you need to shake that and come back to reality. And whatever you think you're doing for your community, you can't do it without these people. You've somehow looked at the spreadsheets. You spent too much time on spreadsheets and been completely disconnected from why you're still there.